I want to tell everyone, folks, we are discussing right now with former Congressman J.C. the upcoming forum, the presidential forum at Saddleback Church this weekend, hosted and moderated by Rick Warren, talking about the issues young evangelicals are really concerned with and have started discussing among each other as well in the media. Congressman, I want to change subjects just a little bit now and get into the energy independence issue and environmental stewardship. That's what you're hearing from young evangelicals. Now, we know energy independence is important, especially in Oklahoma, the people that you represented in Congress. But how do you see energy independence and biblically based environmental stewardship that young evangelicals are supporting and are more interested in getting involved in working together?
Well, I think that we all, Jordan, we all should be good stewards of the earth. I mean, I think why wouldn't we be concerned about what God's earth? I think as Christians, as believers, I think we ought to be concerned about what Christ is concerned about. But I think if you look at the technology, I think we have to take advantage of the resources that God has given us right here at home in the United States of America. We cannot continue to get 70% of our daily consumption of energy from foreign sources, and I don't think we will ever be totally independent of foreign oil, but we can be less dependent. But we have to take advantage of the technologies that's available to us right here in the United States of America. I used to be an oil and gas commissioner when I was in state government for 4 years, and I know for a fact that we have technology today, and Senator McCain understands this. We have technology today that we can go, we can safely, we can drill, we can explore safely, we can explore in a conservative, environmental way that we don't go in and disrupt and ruin the resources, the earthly and land resources that God has given us. And I do think not only do we have to explore and take advantage of the resources here in America, we do need to conserve. We need to be conservation minded. We need to pay attention to turning lights off in certain rooms when we're not using them. And my parents used to hammer that home because growing up in a household, they used to say, "Hey, this house looks like a Christmas tree. Get those lights off in here." Right. They were conservation conscious. I mean, they were conscious of conserving. So, yeah, we need alternative resources, alternative fuels. We need exploration. I don't think we have to choose one or the other. I think we need both. We need all of the resources that God has given us by way of science and technology and exploration. We need all of it. And I do, again, I think Senator McCain has done a good job, I think, in framing that issue to say, let's in a clean, safe, and environmentally friendly way, take advantage of the resources here at home so we can be less dependent on foreign sources for our energy needs. That's just common sense, good old-fashioned American common sense.
We have talked about a lot of different issues today on the broadcast. Another issue we've talked about a lot on our program here at Jay Sekulow Live is religious persecution, specifically in countries, some Muslim governments and others where there are Muslims who become Christians and then are persecuted, even in countries that sign the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Looking at human rights and the protection of human rights broadly, do you think there's more America can do at the United Nations and more that Senator McCain would be interested in doing specifically at the UN to ensure that these countries, some allies, some that are not, are at least protecting and held, that their feet are held to the fire on protecting the human rights they've said they will do?
Well, I think, there are things in the United States of America that separates us distinctly from other countries around the world. And I think our democracy is so built on freedom of press and freedom of religion and human rights. And I think in large part those are the things that I think defines, or I think as we look at countries around the world, those are the things that you can really define how democracy has taken root in a country based on those things. And in the United States of America, in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, the African American community went through, the civil rights movement. And I think during the civil rights movement, many saw civil rights, or they allowed civil rights to supersede human rights. And I think human rights is a basic right that we all should have as citizens of the globe, to say that I am a human being. And I think we understanding that J.C. Watts or America or in Sudan, as Americans, we should be advocating that around the globe, that this person may disagree with me religiously, they may not believe what I believe in terms of my faith, or they may not be Protestant, they may not be Christian, but they are a human being. They deserve the respect of being a human being. So I do, again, I think you have to look at, when you look at candidates running for anything, you have to peel the onion to say, I'm going to get beyond the hype, and I'm going to get beyond the commercials, and I'm going to look at the record. I'm going to look at those people that hadn't just talked about it, but they've actually been on the front line and trying to do something about human rights all over the globe. And again, I think John McCain would stack up very well in that department.
One final question. How important do you think the upcoming forum this weekend at Saddleback is to both campaigns, both Senator McCain's campaign and Senator Obama's campaign, in regards to their outreach to the evangelical and young evangelical community?
Well, I think it's very important, and kudos for Rick for doing it. I think in many respects, I think the political establishment of both parties, I think, have taken for granted the faith community and people of faith and evangelicals. And I think this is a way, what Rick is doing, I think this is a way that, the candidates will be able to get beyond the consultants and beyond the posters and the analysts, and they can have an opportunity to connect with those in the pews. And I think both parties, miss it on so many fronts when it comes to connecting with the people sitting in the pews on Saturdays or Sundays or on their day of worship. They miss those people. They don't connect with them because, again, they rely too heavily on posters and consultants. So I think it's a great opportunity for the candidates to connect with the evangelical community, especially those young evangelicals who are seemingly more and more wanting to be involved in the process this year. And I think it's a great way for them to do it.
Congressman Watts, I want to thank you for joining us today to discuss these, what we believe are very critical and important issues to the evangelical community at large, and especially young evangelicals who listen to our program. So, again, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on.